So my name is Bre Sklar, and I am a disabled veteran. And one of the reasons I thought it was important to talk today was because it wasn't always easy to get to this point and to acknowledge the help that I needed. And it's my hope that by hearing kind of some of the things that I went through, that others see how really common mental health issues can be. 70% of adults have faced some type of trauma in their life, and 60% of those adults faced that trauma before the age of 16. That number is really impactful when you start thinking about how we stigmatize mental health, because if most of our neighbors are struggling, then they probably need help. And where are they going? And who are they talking to? And how are they telling their story? We, as a society, moved away from living in villages and living as communities, and we started to isolate ourselves. Part of it was just how our culture developed. Part of it was women entering the workforce and work-life balance looking a little bit differently. And we haven't really made proper adjustments for ourselves to continue that support system that is really ingrained in our DNA and who we are. There is a lot of shame and guilt around not being able to move through your day like everyone else does, not being able to express yourself in a healthy way, or in a way that others can comprehend. Life is hard, but it doesn't have to be so hard on our own. It's easier with the community. And I learned that as a single mom, there's no way that I would be able to get through all of this without my support system, without my tribe rallying around me and helping me get through some of the really tough parts of dealing with my disabilities. As a mom, I want my kids to know 3 things. I want them to be able to recognize mental health in themselves or in their peers. I want them to be able to understand where to go when they recognize that, how they can ask for help. And I want everyone to know that there are a lot of people walking around out there that don't have a diagnosis but are still struggling. So how do we share our stories in a way that helps people understand that helps us have love and respect and empathy for our neighbors? Because 70% is a lot. And I know 70% of these people are not talking about it. So my story is a little bit challenging. My disabilities are not visible, so it can be really awkward to express my needs sometimes, because there's a lot of pushback with that. If people cannot see right in front of them, it can be hard for them to believe. And that's why talking about it is so important, because mental health isn't something that you can see. I deal with mental health issues from MST, military sexual trauma, and from chronic pain. So I have wires that go up my spine that help regulate my nervous system, and that helps regulate my pain on a daily basis. That includes a lot of doctor's appointments. Between managing my chronic pain and managing my mental health from the MST, sometimes it feels like a full-time job. It takes a lot of time and dedication to make sure that not only am I being supported, but I'm being supported in a way that helps me live the life that I want to live. When you don't understand that other people are going through these things, it's really hard to relate with them and to identify. It makes it challenging to talk about something that's intangible. How do we express a feeling or a thought that we don't have language around? And how do we get the person sitting across from us to understand that language that doesn't exist? Science is incredible. It's developed a lot over, the century, and that language is still being developed. And how do we talk about what's going on in here? What is affecting us? What is preventing us from accomplishing our goals, however big or small those are? One of my goals in physical therapy right now is just to be able to hike up a handicap accessible trail in Hocking Hills. There's some really great scenic routes there that I love to travel, love to camp. And there's just this one trail that I have my heart set on. And I know I can do it, and I will get there. I'm in physical therapy right now for that. But also some of my goals are just remembering to journal, or remembering to take my medication, or being expressive when I need to be expressive. And once you can be expressive, you start to really understand what constitutes trauma, and that dialogue opens up an entirely different world. You start to understand that your trauma has become so much a part of your personality. You identify with it, and it can be really challenging to let that go. If you're used to feeling pain when you go to a specific location, or you're around a certain demographic, or you just leave your house, those things are really hard to separate from who you are. They impact how you move through your day, they impact how you make decisions, and they impact who you spend your time with. So what's the value in addressing that trauma and finding that language? The value is understanding that those things that happen to you are not who you are. It's an experience that you went through, and just like any other experience, there's something that we can take from it, that we can learn from it, and we do have the choice to design who we want to be in spite of the things that have happened to us, in spite of the things that are beyond our control. We still have control over our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions, even if it doesn't feel like it sometimes. If it feels out of control, it feels like it's spiraling, there's still something really moving about knowing that all of that is inside of you, and you are the person that can change that trajectory for yourself. If you experienced something painful, it's really easy to hang on to that pain. It's really easy to relive those moments and get stuck in the cycle of, why me? Why did this happen to me? Life isn't fair. And after a period of time, it gets exhausting. It gets really old because you start to feel how it's holding you back. You start to feel how it's impacting the decisions that you make. And it's time to put it down. It's time to move forward. If you don't put it down, you'll never get a chance to experience the life that you deserve. You won't get a chance to experience the world for how I see it now. A world full of love and joy and hope. And I know that sounds really naive. I acknowledge that. But it only sounds naive right now because you haven't put down the pain yet. I grew up in the Alice population, and so I very much recognize that access is not the same for everyone. That not everyone has the same suffering. And sometimes just the way that we're raised is traumatizing. Food insecurity is real. Domestic violence is real. Even just understanding who you are, that struggle is real. It's really cool to see programs like iMatter come to fruition because it's showing that we're changing as a community. It's showing that we're recognizing more needs to be done. And it's my hope that this opens doors for those people that don't think they have access to support. I hope that it helps people understand that their feelings are real and valid, regardless of what you've been through or who you've been through it with, regardless of what other people tell you your experience should have been like. That didn't really happen, it happened like this, because that's how the other person perceived it. What you experience is real. Your perception matters, and we need to break the cycle of gaslighting ourselves out of that. One of the hardest things I had to do was set down my pride and ask for help. And I wish that it didn't take me so long. So if you're struggling, you probably need help. And if that's the case, put down your pride and go find it. Go find the help, because it's out there. Programs like this, resources, they go away if people aren't using them. We know that the need is there. We see it. I see it. I feel it every day. The need exists. The resources are being developed. And in order for those to really get to where they need to go, we have to be willing to accept them. I really hope that our community continues programs like this, that our community continues to talk about mental health, because I really think it will enrich all of us. I think the bonds that we can form through coming together in tough times is beautiful. And it opens up empathy in a way that even if we cannot understand what someone else has went through, we can understand that it's hurting them and that it's impacting their lives, and that in some small way you can make a difference in that. So look out for yourselves, look out for your neighbors, look out for your kids, talk about your feelings, and let people know where you're at. If you're doing great, awesome. Let people know that. It'll make it that much easier to talk about it when you're not.